Hello, everybody. It's great to be here again, one more year. Hello, Gonzalo.
Placer.
Amazing
Thank you.
chat,
Thank you.
amazing chat. I think what Gonzalo was talking about, I think is probably the single most important issue that we have today. It's not only an issue, it's also an enormous source of opportunities for all the entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs that are here today. So I want to congratulate you, and I want to ask you a couple of things and share also some of IE University's views on the topic. But first, in the backstage, you were telling me that your experience, obviously you're very well known now for your impact, but previously you were a CEO at several important companies, a traditional CEO at several important companies. You are also owner of a winery, which I believe is actually very well known. And that was previous to venturing with Triciclo, no?
Yeah, that's right. And maybe I wasn't a traditional CEO, but the companies were traditional, right?
Yes.
And in that sense, I like to recognize, well, first, thank you, Diego, and thank to the South Summit for this opportunity and for inviting us. And for positioning this topic, and I like the way you put it, because I have to recognize that I failed on positioning these topics 20 years ago in those so-called traditional companies. Even though I was the CEO, even though the companies were successful financially, but every time that I was taking social or environmental causes to the conversation at the board level, they will go like, no, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You're confused. Here in these four walls, we only talk about maximizing shareholder value.
Yeah. And it was the agro sector, no?
It was mostly food sector.
Food sector, yeah.
From a port in Argentina to a food distribution company in Chile and some agri businesses also in Chile. In most of them, we would see so easily how we were affecting not only the environment while interacting with nature every single day through our product, but also through our packaging.
Yeah.
We were selling waste while defining how to pack our products. And we were interacting with some of the most vulnerable people when it comes to farmers and people living in the rural areas. And all of that represented a great opportunity for positioning the company and the product in a better way. But 15, 20 years ago, that conversation was absolutely kind of impossible.
Yeah.
It was really hard. Those same companies, the three that I've mentioned, the three of them are part of Race to Zero. The three of them have committed formally through the United Nations program with science in the center, and two of them are B Corp. So it's great also to see how
The transformation.
I quit the job, somehow provoked this conversation, but I said, I'll be happy to support this idea from outside. And this has been incredibly useful for me as well to understand it's not only about what I've done through Triciclo, through the Pulcura Winery, through the B Corp movement, now with my role at the United Nations, but also keeping my mind on what those people were thinking at that time, validate that.
Yes.
Those are not mean people. They were blind to many of the aspects that now are so clear. We didn't have the sense of urgency at that time, even though we had the evidence. Now we have everything. We have the science telling us, the natural evidence, the opportunity that you referred to, but also the mindset that some of the time is coming from the talent that we integrated, sometimes it's coming because of the interest on the financial institutions that are saying the money we're going to put in your company must go with the impact deployed through the climate action.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like how you put it, because you're tackling one of, actually our core purpose at IE University, which is fostering positive change in your own companies, because you were there, you have your footprint, but after some years, you managed also to foster in their own soul that positive change and move into something that was for positive impact. And then as an entrepreneur as well, you are constantly fostering positive change. And I think the role of an entrepreneur, and this is how we put it also at IE University, is not just to become a successful guy that becomes rich because he did an amazing job with their venture, but really to make them be people that are sound, that are sensible to making a big impact and to foster positive change. No? So I think that core purpose, that core value that we also have at IE is very, very important. But I would like to know about how was your experience in Triciclo, this social venture that you started after this CEO experience.
So yeah, something that is important to refer to, I never started anything alone, right? It was also all the time with the most brilliant partner, the most brilliant team. Like the idea of having this person that is like illuminated, it's a wrong one, and we should be concerned when it's a lot about ego. It should be about impact, right? So the idea was about how can we deliver impact from a business on the three areas. So having a company that has triple budget and triple balance every month, triple KPIs for each of the employees in the company, but mostly to validate the idea that every company should be thinking all day long on, if my company is really successful, is that good or bad for the world? Or is it just good for me? Or is it just good for a few people?
Absolutely.
And that's a hard question, but it's so important. Check your company. Project it infinitely. Imagine that it goes like the most successful company in the world. How does the world become? Better or worse? And honestly, many times you check your practices and you will go like, oh shit, this is something I need to correct immediately. Because if I project it infinitely, the world gets worse. That is mostly because sometimes we just rely on governments to solve the global issues. That's wrong. Forget about that. All of us are invited and are urgently invited to take part on the global issues. And again, it's not only about a moral duty, it's also about the opportunity. But second, it's about removing your blind spots. Like sometimes you don't see things, sometimes you don't want to ask yourself, right? We're very good on fooling ourselves. But at the same time, when you open yourself to thinking in a different way, believe me, there are so many brilliant opportunities that will allow you not only to be successful in a traditional business way, but also will give you the gratification. You will feel so much better with what you're doing, and that will be immediately reflected through your team. You will attract the best talent while positioning yourself and your company in a way that is not only solving the interest of a few people, but rather the interest of the whole population.
Absolutely. And I want to take your point again. No? At IE University, we are making a huge effort in this transformation because, I mean, obviously it's needed, but we need to make that huge effort. We are obliged to do it. So we have committed to be net zero in 2030. We are absolutely paperless. Uncomfortably paperless, to be honest. We need to change that mindset because just imagine faculty and students need to change that mindset of studying without paper, you know? And this is something that, not for everybody, obviously, but for many of them, it's quite difficult. We have a 10-year challenge in which every year we have a challenge for one cause. And many other initiatives that are head of global sustainability is leading, no? But we are all committed into this, no? But again, I want to go to the opportunity side. Just imagine how many efforts we need to make and the help that we need from so many people that, startups here need to be close to big corporations because they are the ones that are going to be able to be flexible enough to help them transform. So there's huge opportunity in this space. No? Digital transformation 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and so many startups grew thanks to this. Now our commitment, the global commitment, is about sustainability. And sustainability is not just about the environment. By the way, it's also about the environment, most importantly, but it's also for many other issues. And startups can be there to help big corporations to transform. Anyhow, my question would be, how do you see the world, the corporate world transforming in that regard?
So I'll go back to Triciclos again on one side. Like we started this company 12, 13 years ago with just the idea of saying we need to and solve what we call the error of design that is represented by waste. We think that waste is nothing but error of design, and we need to correct many designs that are in the value chain. But it wasn't, first we started working with rack pickers and collection systems. We're now in 13 countries, mostly integrated with major multinationals. And I'm not going to name them, but you can imagine the biggest consumer good companies, the biggest retailers in the world, they're now hiring our knowledge, and a lot of that knowledge comes from us understanding how the waste moves in countries like in Latin American countries where it's mostly about rack pickers, people collecting that waste in the street. That represents an opportunity of knowledge and data for the companies to improve their design of their products. So we can integrate a very social, basic, let's say, skill to one very sophisticated through also Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. We've seen that as an opportunity of growth. And when it comes to climate, exactly what you referred, like big multinationals, they're saying, okay, I'm committed to net zero, whether 2030, 2040, 2050, but that's in the three scopes, scope 1, 2, and 3. The scope 3 means that the whole value chain. That means that any major multinational, some of them here, outside you will see some of them, even banks that are already committed, they're saying it's not only about whether I go climate neutral like the university or paperless or operation or we promote people cycling or taking the bus. It's about that everything that we will buy, and in some cases the product that we will provide to our clients will be net zero as well. Mm-hmm. And that is a massive opportunity for SMEs and companies from all around the world. We are seeing, for example, a beautiful example, a pension fund in Canada committed to the Net Zero Asset Owners Alliance, meaning that all of their portfolio should become net zero. They immediately send a letter to their CEOs around the world. And the CEOs started calling me. Most of them are from utilities, companies managing water and energy in countries around the world, mostly in the global south. They called me and said, what do I have to do now? Well, you have to commit to net zero. And immediately that created a conversation with thousands of SMEs in the global south that are now using the SME Climate Hub, the PYMES Climate Hub, or the B Corp Climate Collective to also become net zero. So a decision being taken in Toronto is now impacting thousands of PYMEs that are now understanding that, okay, this is a business opportunity. I'm also connected to the topic, but this is a business opportunity because my major client is saying, now I need you to sell me whatever a product or a service that you're selling me, I need that to be net zero. As simple as that. So if anyone here is not connecting to the topic, you're losing the opportunity. Mm-hmm. The train has already left the station. Join this. Whether it's because you're concerned about climate, whether because you think that rationally, you need to solve the crisis, or whether it's a pure financial interest, I don't care. Join. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, not tomorrow.
Thank you for that advice, because I'm completely aligned and that clear message. No? Tell me a bit about the Race to Zero related to higher education, to universities.
So now we have more than 700 universities, including IE, that are now part of Race to Zero. Of course, the biggest impact that they create is through their curriculum, right? How do they train this new group of amazing people that once joining the workforce, they're coming not with this intention, they're coming with this provocation. Mm-hmm. In my case, I don't know, it might be the same thing that happens to you. Now, for quite a long time, I would say probably in the last 5 to 10 years, every time that I interview somebody for a position, seems like the person is interviewing me. Like, okay, tell me, how's your commitment? What are you going to do? How do you deliver certain values? People are carrying those values, and those values sometimes are being created at home.
It happens the same in the university.
Exactly.
Candidates come here and ask you about your commitment.
Exactly.
And if you're not committed, they go to another university.
Right.
So,
exactly.
I mean, we are completely obliged.
So I have 3 daughters at the university, one studying design, the other one economics, and the other one veterinary. And I know that they raise their hands and say, wait a minute, I don't get what is behind what you are saying, Mr. or Mrs. Teacher, because if I project that, the world doesn't become better. Mm-hmm. So why don't we start changing that? And I see that provocation coming from the faculties, and also how faculties are adapting towards renewable energy, waste, the way people, the logistics and the transport system around them, and how also they contribute to cities that are also needing to evolve towards net zero. So it's probably where we find the biggest opportunities, also because Race to Zero, as a global campaign, as well as Race to Resilience, have an expert peer review group, in the case of Race to Zero at the Oxford University, in the case of Race to Resilience at the Universidad de Chile, that integrate hundreds of experts around the world that allows us for our criteria to be really credible, really accountable, really traceable.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Gonzalo. We're running out of time. I just want to send a message that Gonzalo already announced, but I mean, you have the absolute commitment of our university with Race to Zero. I want to congratulate you for all your efforts, for all your successes, and also for spreading the word in something that is so important. Thank you very much.
And thanks to the university, Diego. It's great to be running this. We will almost all the time talk about the importance of of walking the talk.
Yes.
It's time to run the talk, and you've joined this race for running it with many others together. So happy to be there promoting everything that you're doing. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, well.